all this stuff happened when I was 10. So we're going to progress really far up. I think I was about 42 years old, and or 41. And this woman came into my jewelry store, and she was making a purchase. And then at the last minute, she said, well, I'm shopping with my daughter, and I'll come back whenever I'm done. And most people mean I'm going to go find it cheaper someplace else.
Right.
But she had an honest face, and I thought she was coming back. And sure enough, 3 hours later, she came back. And as we're finishing up the transaction, she says, oh, I've got something for you too. And I thought, oh God, it's a religious nutbag. You know, she's going to hand me like a Jack Chick pamphlet and tell me I've got to convert and drop to my knees and do all this. And I believed that I had sold my soul when I was 13 years old, so I didn't have this option. You know, I signed a document that said the blood of Jesus washes away all sin, but not mine. And Jesus died for everyone, but not me. That I wasn't allowed to look for God, even if I wanted to go look for God. I didn't have that option. And so she pulls out a little gold disc, and I'm thinking, okay, I don't have any idea what that is. And then she says the weirdest thing to me. And remember, I've been a Satanist for over 26 years, so if it's weird to me, it's out there. She said, the Blessed Mother is calling you into her army. I got no idea who the Blessed Mother is. I grew up Baptist. Mary gave birth to Jesus, and that's the last story we got. And, you know, I'm just thinking, okay, obviously it's not a Christian thing. She's trying to recruit me into her female deity cult. And she tells me it's very powerful. Well, Christians don't bless anything. So now I know for certain it's not a Christian organization. And she tells me a couple of other things. I'm not really paying attention to her now. And then she says again that it's very powerful. And then, now that's like a kick to the ego. Back in that day, I could feel anything that was really used in a magic spell and tell you what kind of spell. So I figured I would take this in my hand and tell her that it has no power, it can do nothing to me, it's just a worthless little piece of tin. And, you know, all this time I had been thinking I don't want to upset her because I just sold her gold, and I would like her to walk away with it. But now she's kind of ticking me off, and I'm just determined that I'm going to slam it on the counter or the floor and call it a piece of garbage. And I open up my hand, and she puts it in my hand, and I clench my fist around it. And my mall, which was fairly large, disappeared. And my story disappeared. And it was me and this woman standing in a darkened void, and I'm scared to death. I don't know how I got here, and I don't know how to get back. I'd like to open my hand, let go of this thing, but what happens if I fall through this darkened void and can't get back? And then this woman starts telling me that I've committed over 100 abortions, that I've broken up over 100 churches. And she starts telling me about all the sinning I've done and how much I'm working for the devil and how I need to turn my back on the devil and turn towards God. Now, if she'd have said this prior, I'd have been like, you know, get away from me, lady. But now she has me in a position where I'm terrified. I'm willing to listen to anything. And, you know, as she's going on, she says again, the Blessed Mother is calling you into her army. And I realize at that point that the Blessed Mother is the Mother of God, which is a very strange statement for a Baptist to think, because we would never say Mother of God. And as soon as I realized that, Mary showed up. She took me by the hand and she turned me around. And Jesus was standing behind me. And I knew in that moment that everything Catholic was right and everything I was doing was wrong. And I accepted Jesus, I opened my hand, and I was back in my mall.
Wow.
And this woman got me going to her church, daily mass, and got me to working part-time in their ministry. And then after about a year, I branched off with All Saints, and here we are.
That is one fascinating story. Thank you for sharing that story. I'm sure the people that are watching this are probably having the same look of amazement on their faces as I have on mine. I want to switch gears, though. I want to talk a little bit more. Again, this is very close to Halloween here. So I want to talk a little bit more about Bohemian Grove. Apparently, when you were there, you were a grand wizard at Bohemian Grove, and you attended over 15 times. Tell us, what exactly is Bohemian Grove? I mean, obviously, we can tell the folks that it's a 2,700 area campground for basically summer camp for billionaires. political leaders, world leaders, past presidents. Reagan's been there. Both Bushes have been there. Clinton's been there. Nixon's been there. Ford's been there. Obama's been there. So we can talk about that, of course. It's in Monte Rio in the Redwoods in California, and it's been around since 1878. Tell us what exactly is going on there, and more importantly, what does a Grand Wizard do at Bohemian Grove?
Well, actually, my title is High Wizard. Grand Wizard sounds more like something in the Klan.
It does. I'll be honest, it does. It's a little strange.
So I was a High Wizard. And
High Wizard.
a High Wizard is, imagine a very, very large satanic coven, like over 1 million members worldwide. In the first probably 800,000 people, they just kind of go to a social club, and they hang out. They might pass certain things as agendas. They may do some things for fun, and they may assist the top tier members, but they don't really know what they're doing. Then a lot of the top tier members, which would be the top 200,000 or 300,000 people, know that there's a position called the High Wizard. And the High Wizard does all the magic for the coven. So if we're tied into Bohemian Grove, we're tied into the Illuminati, we're tied into so many of the conspiracy theory groups that people I wonder if that's a real group. Generally, the general rule of thumb is, if it sounds so crazy that it couldn't possibly be true, it's probably true. So I would do, say, the magic spells for rock stars. If you were a musician from 1987 to 1999, there's a good chance I did a spell for you. You wouldn't have known me, though, because
now, what kind
the
of
High Wizard
spells would you be
in a
doing?
costume.
What would people be asking you to do as far as your spells?
Well, if we're at Bohemian Grove, they may want a bill passed. They may want some deal to go through that would be worth billions of dollars to them. Although I secured a divorce for some guy there twice, that I guess he couldn't get any other way. Anything that you think might require magic to do, which would be any bill, anything you want to add or delete or change in the Constitution, or any law, anything. It could be anything there. Okay. With rock stars, they may want a one-hit wonder. They may want a lifetime success. They may want to get laid a lot. Or they may want an actual spell written into their song so that everyone's affected when they hear it. And it just changes from person to person. As well, I mean, the rock stars that get their deals, they don't always get exactly what they want. I mean, they're basically selling their soul, in a sense, for a pile of garbage. It's like Satan convincing them, you do this and this vile thing for me, and I'll make you a billionaire. Well, they're not going to be a billionaire. They might have a few 100,000. They might have a few million.
Right.
But is it worth that to have sex with a donkey? I don't think so.
And not only sex. I mean, look, folks, I want to stress the fact that I don't do a conspiratorial show. I've never done a conspiratorial show. I have a reputation to maintain, and I plan on maintaining it. This stuff is real, okay? This is not tinfoil hat like others may have said. This is real. This has been around since 1878. Don't believe me or believe my guest. You can even look it up online. You can look up and Google Bohemian Grove. But what I want to get into, Zachary, is a little bit more of some of the devious behavior that actually takes place on the grounds of Bohemian Grove, including rampant homosexuality. It is an all-men's club. There's no women allowed. As a matter of fact, Hillary Clinton was there at one point, and she was immediately escorted off of the premise. We're talking past presidents. Reagan's been there, George W. Bush, Clinton. Many people have been there. And what's amazing to me is that even when you ask these people about it, a lot of them will either deny it and or just ignore you even had a question. Like, for instance, they asked Richard Nixon about it years and years ago, and he was quoted as saying, Bohemian Grove is the faggiest damn place you could ever imagine, a bunch of gay queens from San Francisco. That was one quote. They asked Bill Clinton about it one time, and Bill Clinton said, "Oh, is that place where all them gay Republicans hang out and rub naked on redwood trees?" Then they asked David Gergen, who again is someone that served in many, many White Houses, for Clinton, for Bush's, for Reagan. They asked him about it. He didn't deny it. He said, yes, there is Bohemian Grove, and yes, I'm a member of it, but he wouldn't really delve into so much of it. It is an extremely secretive organization, and it just goes to show you that as the American people don't really know about it, they've done a very good job of hiding it. What I want to ask you is, I want to ask you about the worship and the sacrifices that may have gone on and continue to go on at Bohemian Grove. Apparently, there is a 30 to 40 foot owl. Now, I know the people that are watching this going, what is he talking about? There's a 30 to 40 foot owl known as Moloch, that these people literally sit around the lake, they start a bonfire, and they worship this gigantic 30-foot owl. Tell us about some of the things that go on in front of those ritualistic settings.
Well, there's altars there, and there's animal sacrifices that happen. Pretty much everything that's going on magic-related involves the High Wizard to some extent. And they import in homosexual, like gay actors, like porn stars, and gay prostitutes. And they put on shows for everyone there, and or you can join in if you wish. And it could be anybody that you know in public is strongly anti-homosexual. Like every bill they've ever passed or, was anti-gay. And here they are at Bohemian Grove having sex with some guy. And that's normal. It's a normal thing there.
Not only is it normal, they encourage it. They actually encourage it. They even set up little tents and little areas for people to engage in these types of activities. Do they not?
They do. There's portables that are brought in for the cremation of care. And then I think, I've been there when it wasn't the cremation of care as well.
Explain the cremation of care for us folks, please.
Cremation of care is a fun one. They do a mock sacrifice of a young boy. And it's sort of like, I don't know if you're a bowler, but back in the day when you were bowling and you didn't have electronic scoring, people would ask for you to build a wall. So you'd draw with a pencil on the piece of paper, and there'd be no bad throws after that. Cremation of care is like that. It's like it eliminates all your bad luck, and everything bad you've done during the year is now taken care of by the sacrifice. Now, they don't say that it's a mock sacrifice. And I've heard that early on, like before there was cell phones and internet and all of that some of these mock sacrifices were not mock. What they do at this point, if you go on Alex Jones, who did a documentary where he took in a camera and filmed some stuff, he films when they're doing the sacrifice of the boy. And you hear this hideous scream on video. What happens is that they put the boy in a cage and they pass him behind a curtain. While he's back there, they take a harness with electrodes on it and they put it over his genitalia and they shock the crap out of him. And you get that scream. And then they also give him a sedative when he's back there. So when he comes back out of the curtain, he looks like he's dead. So in the times that I was there, the child was still alive, but I can't imagine what, shock treatment to your genitalia must be like. Although I heard him scream, so I know it's got to be that bad.
Now, again, a lot of people are hearing this and they might be thinking, this can't be true, and this is something that, you're conspiratorial, you're a tinfoil hat person and this and that. But again, I'm not going to pass judgment here. I'm going to allow the people that are watching the show to figure it out for themselves if they believe those last type of comments that you just made. Talk about some of the famous people that you have personally witnessed and have seen at Bohemian Grove.